Here's the thing about overspending that most financial professionals are afraid to say. It's not your fault. Seriously, it's not your fault. But you do have an opportunity to stop it, and we're going to show you how.
Hey, I'm Brandon, and welcome to Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast, episode 102, How to Stop Overspending Without Budgeting.
And hey, I'm Amanda. The financial industry likes to keep you confused. When you're confused, you lack efficiency, and guess what? You overspend. You lack confidence and control and so many other things that are ingredients for building wealth. Ingredients is actually a great word because it's tied to a helpful overspending analogy that we're going to share today.
Now, are you sick and tired of hearing the same old conventional financial advice? We feel you. We're fed up with the same old truisms that fall flat when you get into the unique opportunities and challenges of your specific situations. This show is about bringing you historic wisdom around building wealth with practical insights on how to apply it for your journey. When conventional financial thinking doesn't get you to where you want to go, you need wealth wisdom. Let's master wealth building together.
So if you go to a search engine and you look up how to stop overspending, you're going to see very typical advice like create a budget, make it inconvenient to spend by freezing your credit cards in a cup of water in your freezer or not saving them in your favorite online portal. We're not going to tell you any of that today. You got to stop buying lattes, none of that. But we do want to start with a helpful grocery store analogy.
We all know when you go to the grocery store, you spend less when you have a meal plan and a list. You spend way more when you have an empty cart and no strategy for what to put into it. But why? Is it because you have no willpower? Is that the reason? Is it because you lack discipline? Maybe that's it. Maybe a little bit, but really it's the grocery store's fault in all of this.
Yeah. You know this already. If you've been to a grocery store at any point, they arrange the grocery store to highlight items they want you to buy. And you have to trudge the entire store almost every single trip. They put the basics like milk and bread on opposite sides of the stores. So you have to pass all the snacks and desserts and temptations to get just bread and milk. In our store that we shop at, the cookies, chips, and soda are all right by the checkout lines. You have to go buy them in order to pay for the other items that you picked up.
And then on top of that, they're at low levels. So if you bring a toddler, it makes it even challenging because they can see all of it.
Right. That's why you got to put them in the cart, keep them in the cart. Don't let them run around.
Yeah. So how many times have you gone into the grocery store for something basic like bread and milk, but ended up passing other items? But by the time you hit the checkout, you've got more than you came for. Went in for 2 items, you got 4. It happens to everyone at one point or another, especially if we make the mistake of going to the store while hungry. Then that's double trouble there.
Yeah, double whammy. And it's also why Brandon does not go to the grocery store with me. He will always put something into the cart that I did not have on the list.
Or that's why you don't bring the toddler with you.
True.
Or preschooler. There you go. But having a list doesn't always work because there's still temptations right in front of you everywhere you look. I mean, wouldn't it be hilarious if you saw a grocery shopper wearing blinders like they put on horses? Like literally they just could go one direction and that's it because they had those blinders on.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are going to do that anytime soon. And for our online shopping listeners, you know, they still use tricks to get you to buy more when you shop online. They show you discounts. You can add at checkout. They have recommended items to pair with what you're putting into your cart and so on and so forth. You might spend more when shopping online than in a store.
You don't see it as much. It can seem like we're powerless against all these types of manipulations that are set up to get us to empty our wallets or charge more than we planned whenever we go shopping. That's why there's a whole movement of no spend days. You might have, you could look it up, right? No spend days. The idea is that if you go near these places less often then you'll stop overspending. It's a great idea, but it doesn't always work. Shopping less often means more planning so that you don't end up with more waste, right? More spending. Then life changes and you end up going out to eat or doing a last minute shopping run because there isn't time to cook what you planned, right? It can also feel like we're set up for failure by the very companies we trust to bring us healthy, fresh, quality foods because of all of this coming together.
So enough about the problem. I hope you're convinced by now that it's not your fault that you're overspending. It's the clever marketers and people that set up the stores or set up the online shopping centers to make it easy to overspend. What we want to do is share 3 big ideas to help you stop overspending that appeal to that same part of you that hates budgeting, hates going through, saying what you're going to spend and where and feeling restricted. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
Okay, the first 2 are going to be related to overspending while shopping. And the third is going to make it seem like we're not financial professionals, because it's actually a bit dangerous for most financial professionals to say. So Brandon, how about you jump into number 1 and we'll leave the most controversial to number 3.
Yeah, number 1 is own your subversiveness. Now that's a big word, subversiveness. Can you give us the definition of that?
I mean, it is like a quality of being subversive, of saying you're fed up with the status quo and the way things are, and you want to subvert to that system.
Yeah. So, the big business system is set up to make you spend more. Be part of the revolution to put power back into the hands of the people and away from big business. See their tactics and say, this is my act of defiance to walk right on by and to say no thank you to that offer that they're putting in front of you.
Yeah, having this attitude of I'm going to do what's right for me and not for the billionaire CEO of this business and what they want me to do can get you really far in terms of stopping overspending. Literally, I hear in my head all the time, don't feed the billionaires. So, you can think about this. It has some historical roots that are really awesome. Think about it like segregation, if that helps you take it more seriously. A big part of the civil rights movement was hitting economic powers where it hurts, their wallets. Boycotts were a powerful weapon to bring greater equality. And maybe that's what we can do in our efforts to stop overspending.
So anytime you see the clever tactics of big business today, here's what we found is helpful to think. The economic powers of today want to segregate me from my potential to build wealth. So I want you to say that. The economic powers of today want to segregate me from my potential to build wealth. So try it out. See if thinking about it this way doesn't help you keep more of your money and aid in your efforts to build wealth for yourself.
And if you need to, get a t-shirt like I did that says, don't feed the billionaires. Okay, number 2, increase your income. This is actually closely related to number 1, because we all know it's because wages have been so low for so long, and yet inflation keeps happening, that many Americans almost have to overspend just to eke by. The money that should have been in our pockets in terms of wages is in the same place our overspending would go.
Yeah, so many Americans are demanding higher wages from companies that can totally afford them, and it's working. As you own your subversiveness, also make sure you're advocating for higher pay for yourself and your coworkers.
If you need some data to back up your calls for better pay, just look at Walmart. Really? Walmart? Walmart started raising wages within the past few years. And from the sources that I've gathered, they did it to stay competitive in the marketplace and actually save costs. And think about the difference between Costco and Sam's Club. Costco has amazing customer service and loyal customers because they pay their workers well and even provide health insurance for part-time employees. That gives them a competitive advantage in the hiring marketplace. Sam's Club was losing market share to Costco because they couldn't get the workers who would help them do well, and they were losing lots of money on turnover and so forth. There's plenty of examples out there how increasing wages actually benefits everyone, including saving costs for the company. We'll put a link to one of our favorite sources in the show notes if you want to explore that more and get some ammunition to bring to your boss.
Yeah, it's a good podcast called Pitchfork Economics. So check out that link there. And if you're a business owner, take heed and pay yourself and your employees well. It might just save on other costs. Actually, this is a powerful part of the profit first method of running your business. Overspending as a business owner is real. Just the same way as it is in the grocery store, it happens in our business. Profit first is a great way to stop overspending in your business without budgeting. You can learn more about building wealth when you're self-employed at wealthwisdom.mn.co. That's a new community that we have, wealthwisdom.mn.co. This link will be in the show notes to join this intentional community of self-employeds and business owners who are mastering wealth building together.
So go check out those two links we just shared. But one word of warning here, there's a bit of wisdom called Parkinson's law. With time, Parkinson's law says that the task expands to the time allotted. If you have a month to do something, it'll take you a month. If your deadline is only a week, you'll get the same task done in a week. Parkinson's law applies to money as well. Expenses expand to income. As income increases, most people spend more as well.
That's why this is number 2. If you've mastered number 1 and own your own subversiveness, then you're more likely to put additional income to work to build your wealth rather than feeding the billionaires or keeping up with the Joneses. When you know Parkinson's law, you know how to manage cash flow. It can be as simple as putting more and more of your income towards wealth building instead. You can keep more and more of what you make as you make more. It's that simple.
Yeah. Okay. So own your subversiveness. Focus on increasing your income. That helps with the budgeting thing. Just be careful that you don't spend as your income increases. And now, number 3 is probably going to get us into even more trouble. The financial services industry works similarly to the grocery store. The entire system is set up to get you to buy what they'd like you to buy. If you've been around the block a few times, you probably have seen this a time or two. It dawned on me recently that that one reason the stock market is doing well is because they've got amazing marketing and sales and have convinced so many people that they are the only option when that's totally not true.
So how do you stop overspending on financial services? With this question, we're talking about fees and expenses, but also about volatility and taxes and other things that take your wealth out of your pocket and put it somewhere else. Like we said at the top of the episode, the financial industry likes to keep you confused. When you're confused, you lack efficiency. You also lack confidence and so many other things that are ingredients for building wealth.
So there are at least 4 ways that people overspend on products that are supposed to help you build wealth. We can't cover all the finer points of each one, but we're going to try to share these 4 because we feel like they're important to know. And then you can dig in and find out more about these 4 and look for other ways so that you're able to spot when the financial industry is acting like a grocery store.
The first one is fees. There are a bunch of supposedly no fee options being promoted, but there are still hidden fees in small prints that add fees when you thought you didn't have any.
In researching this episode, I went to a website of a very popular company that promotes 0 fee brokerage accounts. Every once in a while, I'll see their ads on Hulu or in different places. So I just went to their website. And the very first fine print at the bottom of the page says this, quote, "Standard online $0 commission does not apply to over-the-counter equities, transaction fee mutual funds, futures, fixed income investments, or trades placed directly on a foreign exchange or in the Canadian market. Service charges apply for trades placed through a broker, $25, or by automated phone, $5. Exchange process, ADR, and stock borrow fees still apply." End quote. We'll put a link to that if you know, we won't. We're not going to reveal who that is. And I stopped there so as not to reveal the company, because then it goes on. And it goes on for 21 different footnotes on a landing page that's public on their website. I can't imagine all the fine print once someone's a customer.
So the bottom line is to be aware when there's a 0% fee account. There are often limited investments available for no fee, and even those have other fees that still apply. So it might still have fees and you just don't know it. Or you might be the fee there.
And we won't get into all the fees involved in qualified retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs. The fine print there is even worse, and no one reads it. And I was actually reviewing someone's statement recently that all that was on the statement was their quarterly management fees. And this is an individual who is like earning less than their expenses. So they're trying to figure out how to increase their income, but also reduce their expenses for now. And they were paying over $500 a quarter on their brokerage accounts in management fees. And yet they're focused on little things and, feeling strapped and all those things. So actually, that means you got to look at a statement. You got to dig into it to find out. But enough about that. Let's go into number 2.
And number 2 is expenses. So let's break these down into 2 different categories. First, there's the professional cost for CPA, accountants, bookkeepers, and we actually have to pay someone to make sure we pay the right amount in taxes and don't get into trouble with the Internal Revenue Service. And if they do it wrong, they are protected and we pay for it, right? There's not even a refund of their cost if they get it wrong or do it a bad job or cause extra work, right? And so then we have to pay that expense for the expense of paying taxes.
And then the second is interest is a major expense charged in the financial service industry. They're pretty good at hiding it too. If you ever want to know the rate on your credit card, it's often buried deep in the statement and nowhere else in your online account access. Currently, about 9 to 10% of American household income goes to servicing debt. That's like 4 hours of your 40-hour work week going to the bank. Overspending in this category of interest is real.
I thought it was a little higher than that, actually, but
well, a lot of debt's been paid off with the economic stimulus. So right now we're between 9 and 10.
So as of right now, today, but it could change really quickly.
Right. And not as many people have mortgages anymore because they can't afford to buy a home. So they're not paying the mortgage. They're just paying rent, and that's not considered debt.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
And then there's volatility. When your 401k or brokerage account or wherever you have stocks, when the account balance goes down and you lose money, that erodes your wealth. If the market goes down 10%, you can't just make up 10%. You have to get to 11.1% to get back to even, plus the growth you missed in the meantime. So when people are like thinking, oh yeah, I made it back. Well, no, you didn't. You had to actually make more than that.
Yeah. In addition, we have to mention here that often the 10% you lost doesn't just disappear. When there's volatility, someone always makes money. The 10% wealthiest Americans own 89% of all U.S. stocks held by households. Where do you think your lost 10% went?
And this even applies to cryptocurrency, but we're not going to go into all of that.
Let's move to the fourth one, taxes. This is a major place of what that can feel like overspending within things. And we've heard of folks who end up losing a lot of wealth that they've built because their financial professional was solely focused on getting them the biggest ROI, but didn't realize the tax consequences of their strategy. So you have to be really careful here, but also remember what Brandon's going to share.
Yeah, the Internal Revenue Service often changes the rules for when they can dip into your pocket and get a portion of your wealth. Here's a powerful question. Let's say you were going to start a business with a partner and invest about $300,000 personally over time. Let's say that the $300,000 is going to grow to $1 million by the time you sell the company. But your partner says, you invest the $300,000 and I'll tell you later how much of the 1% or 1 million is mine. Would you do that partnership?
I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't.
They would tell you later what those rules are. I hope not. But that's exactly what you're doing with Uncle Sam when you in essence partner with him in your 401k or traditional IRA, and he'll tell you later what shares to send to the Internal Revenue Service by what the tax code says at that point, not what it says when you started the business. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to go into a business where they're going to make the terms of service in the future.
Yeah. Even Brandon and I signed a partnership agreement when we were starting a business that was very clear. Here's how much each of us have. So, but let's bring it back in here. Remember Parkinson's law. Even if you stop overspending on fees, expenses, volatility, and taxes, you could easily spend that money somewhere else. Conquer your cash flow by turning Parkinson's law on its head. Here's a bit of wisdom for you. Conquer your cash flow by turning Parkinson's law on its head. As your income and subversiveness increase, use a greater and greater portion of your income to build your wealth and to avoid overspending on financial services. Think about it. Was a 1% asset under management fee or a 22% tax greater or smaller when you have $1 million or when you have $1,000?
Oh, that's a good one. So before we wrap up, we do have to mention that we specialize in a strategy where you can put some of your wealth into and protect it from all four of these ways. I need to go back, man. So before we wrap up, we do have to mention that we specialize in a strategy where you can put some of your wealth and protect it from all four of these ways most Americans are overspending on financial services. To learn more, check out the link in the show notes or go to grandmaswealthwisdom.com and request a meeting.
Now, the people who take us up on that offer and complete our complimentary financial analysis tell us that they often have more clarity on where they wish to go, even if they don't end up working with us. It's kind of like the financial analysis helps them construct a meal plan or a grocery shopping list for their money and for how they're going to build their own wealth. But in this case, it looks more like getting clear on goals and what financial tools will help them reach those goals. So we'd love to help you construct your financial goals, find the right tools to help you reach those goals. The first step is to go to grandmaswealthwisdom.com, schedule a 15-minute intro call with one of us to see if we are indeed the allies for you as you go about mastering wealth building.
As you're learning new information or coming up with fresh ideas, it's difficult to decide what to carry through with and when. We've developed a filter to use when deciding how to move forward towards your goals and dreams, financial and otherwise. It's a free gift for you waiting at stillmethod.com. Just go to stillmethod.com. Go download it today and start connecting with your center for an intentional financial life.
Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode where we'll share what to do if you find yourself dealing with the consequences of a confusing financial industry. If you're looking for some more simplicity and effectiveness with your portfolio, be sure to join us next time.
So until next time, keep building your financial confidence, and we hope you live long and profit in your life and business. The topics presented in this podcast are for general information only and not for the purpose of providing legal, accounting, or investment advice. On such matters, please consult a professional who knows your specific situation.
This is the podcastfactory.com.